I've had two really bad low blood sugar nights in the past 2 weeks, and I wanted to share with you what caused these events and what you can do about it with your diabetes. So let's dive in. I had a really bad low blood sugar in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., that would not come up. I treated it multiple times with dextrose tabs that I had on my bedside table. The alarm woke me up, and then I thought, okay, what the heck's going on? The first thing I did was confirm with my glucometer. I use a CGM, and the CGM can often read low, even when it's not low. At this point in time, I felt low, so I treated it and then double checked with my glucometer. But it's good practice to get into to just double check using your finger stick because that's the gold standard and will give you the most accurate blood sugar reading versus a CGM that can give you a false. I use an insulin pump. So the first thing in my head is the insulin pump working? Now, with an insulin pump, if it's not working, you usually think you're going to go high. And that's probably what you're thinking if you're using a pump. Insulin pump infusion sets often kink and can cause you to get not enough insulin and then your blood sugar can rise. There's also something else that we don't really discuss very often. I've had type 1 diabetes for 43 years, a couple of kids too that have used pumps with type 1 diabetes, and I've come across this issue numerous times. What can happen is if you're not rotating your sites or you use one particular area of your body, like myself, I use my abdomen quite a bit. That's where my fat is. You can have pocketing of insulin. What that does, if you're treating, corrections and corrections, or you found that you're running high all day, you might want to think absorption, right? Is the insulin being absorbed properly in the body? All those correction doses you've given yourself or meal boluses that didn't work for your meals can collect under the tissue in the fat or scar tissue, and then bam, it can release all at once. It's like storing insulin in a little balloon in your skin, and then it pops, and you get a massive dose of insulin at one time, which can cause a significant low blood sugar. It's really hard to treat because you're not just treating a normal low, you're treating a low caused by a dose of insulin that you didn't anticipate. So you're playing catch up. Anyways, so that's another thing that went through my head on the second night, not so much the first night. Another thing was, well, I had a good blood sugar before I went to bed. Overnight lows usually occur from your activity that day. So what did I do that day that's different from my normal routine? Like, don't typically have lows at night when I'm using my insulin pump. The first thing I thought of was, over the past 2 weeks, I've exercised more consistently. I started exercising in the morning 2-3 days in a row versus once every 3-4 days. And as a result of that, my insulin sensitivity went way up, right? When you exercise during the day, doesn't matter really what time, you can have a delayed low blood sugar effect because your body needs to refuel from the exercise. In this case, I did some weight training, resistance training. And as a result, the delayed pulling of glucose into the muscles, that's what caused the low. Number 4, we've got false lows, CGM, pocketing of insulin, and delayed lows from exercise. Number 4 would be, what did I eat that evening? Did I eat anything different? Did I stick to my usual meal plan? In this case, I actually ate a carbohydrate-rich meal versus a high-protein, low-carb meal, which I usually eat. Both nights in a row that I had lows, I didn't eat my 50 grams of protein and low glycemic veg that I would normally eat, that delays that sort of response and provides that slow release of glucose from the protein many, many hours afterwards. So that's another reason I most likely dropped low. I think I had popcorn for dinner that one night, which is not the greatest. You have to really ask yourself what's changed. If you ask yourself what's changed, then you're going to figure out your patterns. And it's all about patterns. The obvious thing is, well, I should have changed my basal rates. Clearly, exercising, I didn't do that. That's a solution to that problem. The next thing to do, how do I put this gently? Rage bolusing, anybody? I was having some really stubborn post-meal, post-lunch, and post-dinner highs on day 1, low blood sugar in the middle of the night episode, and I rage bolus. I stacked insulin. So it's really hard to tell how much insulin was still in the body. I just look at my pump. When you go to bed, I think I had way too much insulin on board. Pay attention to that. If you're having lows at night, what's the insulin on board? How much insulin do you still have metabolizing in your body that could cause you to drop low? Most people require less insulin after they go to bed and then more insulin during the wee hours of the morning, which is a pattern to also consider. So I think us people with type 1 diabetes, us diabetics, just want spontaneity. We want to just go to bed and sleep through the night. And, I think if we expect these little hiccups to happen and we empower ourselves to think what's changed and what are the patterns and what can I do differently and how can I tweak things, you're going to be one step farther ahead. I know the thousands of decisions we make with type 1 diabetes really, really sucks. But if you figure out your patterns and your routines, life is a little bit easier. If this sounds familiar, I'm curious, which one of those things I talked about hits home for you? Is it the rage Bolusing? Is it the post-exercise lows? Drop me a comment, let me know. And if you're curious how to simplify your pump management basal rates, watch this video next. Bye for now.